Hi, this is Dr. Scott Young, and today we're going to talk about the second of the series. I left the first one on the board before so you can kind of see where we're going. This is the second of the series of the Great Reset versus the Great Awakening. Are they equal? Coming right up. Okay, so let's just briefly hit this one, okay? The Great Reset is about the mark without the beast. That was what the jab was all about. World Economic Forum, you will own nothing and be happy. They're about communism and democratic socialism. It's based upon the fiat currency that is in every 20, 30 years where they have a debt situation. The Piper's coming due, 1913 to 33, 33 to 71, 71 to 99, 99 to 2020, okay? And they want to be able to pay off the loans but bring everyone else basically into bankruptcy and then kind of force them in by big corporations to do their bidding, okay? So we're going to leave that just for a second. Come over here to the Great Awakening. This is talking about waking up, okay? Red pill, blue pill. This is a matrix theme here. Red pill, you're waking up. Blue pill, you're staying asleep. This other thing called the election, and I always say, if they stole with 70 million votes, they can steal with 110 million votes. I'm making up numbers here. But basically, that's why people want to talk about getting out and voting and being the red wave. I understand where you get this, okay? In 2022 to 2024, we just put a big red wave. Well, it's easy to steal it, okay? It doesn't take a different, that isn't the answer that we're talking about here. But they're talking about constitutional reform with democracy so that we can vote the right people in. And this is the basic concept that's out there. Okay, so I'm going to erase where we were here so that you can kind of see the next step of this. Now, again, we talk about that people want to put them on the same plane with one another, but that is not the case in here, okay? These are not analogous points to one another. Because the Great Reset, as you saw before, is about a fiat currency that is digital in nature. Now, most people, when you hear this kind of idea, the fiat currency, we have one right now, which is called the US dollar or the euro or whatever else that you want to do. And inside of the Great Reset, they would just flip it to a digital point. And this is what scares so many people, because they go, if I have $1,000 in the bank, and they flip it to a digital currency, they would apply the points of inflation in here. They'll apply inflation even though you're saying, yeah, I'll still have $1,000 in the bank. You might not, okay? They're going to take it in one way or another. Whether it happens by the amount, what they're trying to do, the amount of the US dollar or pricing. And that's what we're actually experiencing right today. We're experiencing gas prices off the chart. We're experiencing, when you go to the grocery store, it's off the chart. We're experiencing, the inflation of the dollar that is sitting, what, at right now, 9.1%? I mean, I think it's actually higher than that. If we really look at economically, it's way higher than that. And that's what they try to accomplish in that circumstance. But they flip to a new currency, and it seems like it takes care of itself. But when you do that, they have this thing called a UBI. Now, this one is going to get a really powerful point that we need to get into. This is called a universal basic income. Now, universal basic income, it was actually proposed more popularly by Bernie Sanders. And what he was pushing on, little Bernie gets into this idea that you would get a government a government amount of money. And so you might make $3,000 a month or whatever that might be. And it's because when you get this amount of money per month, you can't afford things, right? So if you add it to whatever you're making, let's say, you're sitting near the poverty level at $2,000 a month, you're going, this is great, I'm going to be able to make it. The answer is, when you take money from the government, they're going to ask something in return. And this is part of this problem. Now we're going to explain a little bit about UBI in a minute here, and the corollary over here, and we'll explain that more. But in return, they're going to ask for something. They're going to ask for who you support, and they're going to ask for what the work that you might have to do to accomplish what they want you to do. So you've got to do the job for them because you're working for the government. See, and again, when we talk about the Great Awakening people, they bring over these concepts and they're so confused by them. Okay, and I'll give you the analogous concept here in a minute. But this is what UBI is. It means everyone gets it because it's only fair. This is why people get into this thing. They want the fairness. And I'm going to show you how there's no way to be fair, okay? And I'm going to explain that here in just a little bit. Now, when we move from a fiat currency to another type of currency, whatever they would call that kind of thing, in the Great Reset, which is a type of mark without the beast, which is biblically undoable. We'll explain that one in the next video. And the UBI, it gets you in that kind of area so that you have to do what they say. So what happens is that they play on your fear and they play on your anger issues. And there's a woman named Probably Alexandra. Probably Alexandra has really good information about this kind of thing because she's comparing these two. And the reality is she's even missing the comparison too. Because do you notice the one thing inside of here? This is all about money. Did you hear what I'm saying? This is about money. This is about when you have the money, you get to tell your employees what they do. I'm a business owner, okay? My employees, if they work for me, they have to do the kinds of things that I need them to do. It's not like the most dreamy situation for people. They don't like grow up and go, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I wanted to do with my life. No, they wanted to play basketball or they wanted to be baseball players or whatever that circumstance was. But the reality is that, if you work for someone, you have to do their job, okay? Now, hopefully you find something that you can work within, okay? Now, but if you're working for the government in this kind of system, they don't like you. And they say you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. They're not just like preaching that little message just for the heck of it. They want you to get that way. So they have to have big government. And this is where we get this idea of the big government to fix your anger issues, to fix your fear. This is why we have viruses that keep coming up. They'll keep coming up with another reason for you to get the little thing called that jab. They're always looking for you in the control. See, when you're inside of fear and anger, you're inside of their control. And I see this so much, and we're not understanding the nature of this. Now, let's flip over here. So I'm going to pull off this idea of the Great Awakening, and we're going to kind of cross through it, because the reality is, I'm going to write with a different pen over here, what the correlate, remember I told you about the hockey thing? The offsides issues with football versus the offside issues with hockey, very different. It sounds exactly the same, but you cannot compare those two. What the correlate really is NESARA, GESARA. Now, if you've listened to me before, you'll understand what we're talking about. National Economic Stabilization and Reformation Act. Global, okay? Global national. These are, see, what this over here is talking about is one world government. They would get into the one world government, the one world currency, and they would be in control of everything. Sorry. But what NESARA does is it kills the fiat, and it goes in to a gold-backed currency. In America, what we're talking about is the U.S. Treasury note, or USTN. This is what's happening as we speak. The USTN is backed by Congress through the Treasury Department. Okay? And what it's going to come back to is it's going to come back to correct levels of spending. So it has to have smaller government. They can't do more for you, okay? So is there a thing called a UBI? And the answer is absolutely no. But what is not a UBI are two ideas: Social Security and disability. Hey man, if a culture cannot take care of their veterans, which by the way, they don't want to talk about this over here. They're going to give it to all the people that come into America, like come into America through the different borders, specifically the southern border, and we're going to give you all this extra money. And Afghanistan people are getting a whole bunch of extra money, and like, wait a second, but the veterans don't get anything. They don't want to take care of the veterans, okay? Gives you an answer of one of the things that happens. Disability, which is our veterans and others, okay? And Social Security, when someone is over 65 and above, we need to be able to take care of them. Now, I know some people who are sitting at $750 a month. It's criminal. So what I believe is going to happen and is already taken care of in the system, it's going to go up to around $3,000 to $5,000 a month. But you're not going to owe anything based upon this kind of point. It's going that we need to take care of this. But guess what everyone else has to do? The rest of the people are going to have to work. You're not working for the government. This is not about a fairness doctrine. And I want to kind of give you a little answer about that in just a minute. We're going to skip over that one kind of thing, and here's what happens with this. This comes with a point of personal responsibility. Why do I say that? Because after the first Revolutionary War, and we're in the middle of our second Revolutionary War, after the first Revolutionary War, people would go to Congress and Senate, state Senate, and governors and mayors and city councils. They were there to do their term. okay? We're going to get back into a 2-term limit. There's going to be more limits to what they do, and the power brokers are going to go away, okay? The lobbyists, I mean, there's a great video that I'll put on my Telegram channel that Trump was talking in 2015 before he officially was getting into the realm of politics. He was he was having a conversation. He goes, listen, I've donated to Hillary and Bush and everyone else. And just a fascinating conversation. We just went on for a while. And he was talking about the real problem was the guys that, I mean, he's paying Bush or Hillary. And what he was doing is telling them what to do. And lobbyists were the problem. And it's all the way that this control system likes to do it. The overall system in here would keep going in that way because they want to control you and they want to control those in whom they've brought on. So, but here's what happens when you go into a NESARA kind of thing, a national situation. There's a personal responsibility. You're not going to have oaths or any other stupid stuff. Stop talking about an oath that you have to do. But there's not going to be a UBI. You're not going to have a fairness doctrine here. Now, I want to end it with this fairness doctrine here, and I want to show you how this actually works. And in the next video, we will talk more about the biblical response in here so that you understand that this is really going to be some cool stuff, and there's a reason why God is actually blessing it in ways that you can't imagine. So we're going to talk about fairness. And I have this question so much of the time, they want to go, but it's fair, or it's unfair this happened to me. So the IRS has stolen money from me, okay? They're talking about compound interest, which is some of the points of NESARA, how we're showing the illegality of this. Of the system, okay? So compound interest is in here. And we'll just stop right there in that kind of thing. So what happens when they read this NESARA stuff, they say, well, we should get money back. So we should get this thing called a UBI to pay us back. And so some people, when they see some of that stuff, they're talking about, well, we're supposed to get $11 million a month, or $100,000 a month, or whatever. Or they come up with everyone's going to get $100 million. You understand, economically, that would make 0 sense. And I have other people that were talking about, that talk about this UBI and going, we got to have a living wage. And they're trying, because they don't have one. And you understand, when you get on the gold standard, wages will go up because it's not like you're going to go upward in price. And we're also not going to go to 1950s pricing. That's just stupid, okay? My dad had a 1966 Bronco. If you compare a 66 Bronco to a 2021 Bronco, they're not the same thing. There's got so much more technology in the 2021 Bronco versus the 66 Bronco. I mean, my dad pulled apart the dashboard. The thing was a very simple design. I saw behind it. We're not going to go to this kind of thing. And you're not going to have to worry about the living wage in the same way because your money is going to be more valuable. And so we want to get into this UBI because we want to get into the fairness. But let's just get a fairness conversation going, okay? So we're going to say 2 friends. Friend 1 versus friend 2, okay? So these 2 friends spend Thursday morning and they go out to breakfast, okay? So our friend 1, she's been making $30,000 a year for 30 years. Okay? Friend 2 has had a much higher net worth all of her life. So she has run at $100,000 to anywhere, let's say $200,000 in net worth for her 30 years, okay? And let's say they were high school friends of one another. Okay? So let's say if we're going to give them back money for the from IRS, who's going to get more money? She's going to get paid more in the IRS because she's paid a lot more into the IRS system. What about for compound interest? Well, she's going to get paid more over here. So the weights are always going to go to the person who's made more. And friend one, if she's really talking about a fairness doctrine, is going to go, wait a second, it's not fair because she's getting more money than I do. I mean, instead of maybe she's getting paid back, let's say she's getting paid back $3,000 a month, she's going to get paid back $10,000 a month. I'm making up numbers, but you get where I'm going. We'll keep coming back to this fairness idea, and we'll never be fair. You can't make things fair. My mom growing up used to say, what, you want life to be fair? That's stupid. This whole thing is about this. This whole idea is about killing the cabal. We're going to cancel out this whole system of the IRS and the compound interest. We cannot make it fair for friend one or friend two. That's why I do not believe in any of this UBI stuff. We can't make it fair. We can't. Now, some people will say to me, what about the IRS, that it was essentially a dead entity from 2020 to 2022? Maybe you get a little bit of money back for that. I don't know. And you know what? I'm trying to share with you the constitutional reforms, the constitutional nature of what we're going into with NESARA. The constitutional nature means you got to work for it. Okay? You guys got to study history. Go back and look at your history. When you see post-Revolutionary War time frame, okay, the 1790s and beyond, you started to see an expansion, a creation, a responsibility that comes. And we have struggled in this kind of time frame. In 2020, when you know employers were laying off because of all this crap, you know, the sickness stuff and all the crap things that they're going through, that people were unemployment and they were living on the government, you know, and when you go live on the government, you're reliant upon them to fix everything. And that's where we get this UBI, and we're talking about fairness things, and there's no way to make it fair. I don't care how you present this. You can't make it fair. Stop talking about that. That's why the Great Reset is really a financial conversation with response to NESARA and GESARA. It's a financial thing. It's a two completely different realms. And you know, with respect to probably Alexandria, who's a very wonderful believer, and we will talk a little bit more about her, which she's got some great points if you listen to her. But it is not part of the control system. It is outside of the system. We're going to see a response of the world when they see how it actually works for you. The response that comes back is going to be fascinating. So I hope that helps you out. I know I can't explain everything. I know you're going to have a million conversations. Like, what about my 401k? How am I going to lose everything? First off, you're not going to lose everything in your 401k. You're not going to lose everything in your bank. Don't take your money out of the bank. Chill out, calm down. It'll be okay, okay? But I hope that helps and explains everything better for you, but we'll explain the biblical responses next.